I was ready. I was prepared for this eventuality. There we go. We are back. We are live. Hello, everyone. Here for game one of day two, week two, for Friend or Foe. Ryan, why don't you start us off, set the stakes? How's it going?
That's right. I got a nice little practice round, but we are back here, like you said, day two, week two of Heroic. We've got, two teams here lined up. We got YUBI versus Basic Instinct versus Team OA. Rocking the same score right now, both trying to get equal footing. One new kid on the block, one team that is falling a little bit short of what we were kind of expecting. So really excited to see exactly where these two are going to be when the dust settles, you know?
Yeah, yesterday's games, Universal Basic Income, weren't looking super strong. Of course, as we were talking about in the green room, they are a team that does have some role swaps going on right now. Olympus Amber, though, for their part of the game yesterday, other than Red the Chair having a little bit of a rough time there in the mid lane matchup there, the rest of the map overall worked out pretty well for them, and towards the end of the game, they were able to sort of try and make a stand there. They didn't end up making it out in the end. But, it'll be interesting to see both these teams 1 and 2 are matching up here. And we do see the first pick coming through. The bans, there's a smattering of them. Mid lane, top lane, touched on a little bit. And then the Maokai comes through. Could be a flex, of course, in pro play. It's always locked into the jungle nowadays. But could be top lane Maokai as we see it answer the Sejuani Alistair.
That's true. These teams do seem to be picking up picks right away, kind of knowing what they want. Of course, Maokai, kind of a staple between what used to be played by Brian Sung a lot, being picked up by Zenzen, and of course, Utility Monster, more than comfortable flexing that. And then on the flip side, we have seen a lot of Alistair being played by Crazy J. It's been paired with Lucian and not finding so much success, especially with qualifiers. I do want to point out one small graphical error we've got on the jungler for OA. Women of Pre-Sure had an emergency pop-up, so it's actually going to be one of their subs. Toki Life subbing in. So kind of getting that first round pick for him on that comfort might be something that they were trying to do right away with that Sejuani pick. So kind of liking that if that is the play they have. And of course, taking the Annie away, so Sidlark doesn't have to have it banned. He's been kind of crying, saying he's been put in prison with that. So I bet he's happy to see that picked up on their side.
Yeah, and for Red the Chair, gonna get that Annie pickup, which a little bit safer. He had the Echo matchup. It's supposed to be a counter into the Syndra yesterday. A little easier to pilot the Annie. You just need to be able to count to 4. I'm gonna trust that Red the Chair can do that. As we look at the bans that come through for the second round, Udyr actually is seeing a little bit of top lane play, so that's a little bit of a flex pick. There, the Sejuani also could in turn be flexible. We see the Mord and the Jinx banned away on the other side, and Xayah gonna be the pick. That's looking like it's probably gonna be the Kai'Sa in the bot lane. Kai'Sa mid has been showing their face a little bit in the recent weeks. So that matchup into the Kaisa. And they're going to answer with rounding out their composition on the side of Universal Basic Income with the Poppy and with the Cassiopeia. So their last pick for the side of Olympus Amber, it looks like they're going to be looking for their top laner. What do they have up their sleeves to counter this Poppy, unless they're putting that Sejuani up there?
Okay, yeah, I guess when you say round it out, it's a little thrown off by the Cassiopeia, but I think that's something that they're trying. So is it Kaisa Maokai bot, Cassio mid, Poppy jungle?
I think I'm
top or
looking at this
top?
comp, and I'm gonna have to guess that the Kaisa and probably the Poppy are bottom, and then you have the Cassio in mid lane, and then you have Talia jungle and Maokai top. That seems to kind of make some sense, but I don't know. I guess you could have the support Talia question mark. That is a thing. As we get into game,
Yeah.
we'll get our answer. So here it is. Zen is pulling out the support Talia.
What a psycho. Okay, that's fine. That's exciting. So I'm kind of see how this shapes up for us, spectator. If you want to take off chat, that'd be awesome, and then we can go ahead and see what's going to happen here early on. I think, in my opinion, I'd like to see OA kind of take this game. I kind of like the team comp they've put together. They can stop a lot of the forward momentum and really just kind of put them back. And I think Zion's also going to be able to play a little bit into that as well. So that's kind of what I'm thinking for prediction.
It's gonna be tough for this Alistair to really do what they want to do, especially when you have things like the steadfast presence and later in the team fights when you're gonna have the Poppy and the Alistair on the same screen. Other than that, though, I do think Olympus Amber does have a much easier to execute composition when it comes to just like the very simple, straightforward. We go in on the Annie stun. We have all these follow-ups. You have the set to get into the back line or to take the front line out and get onto that back line. So be interesting to see if they're able to get onto that. Because otherwise, if you look at YUBI, they are relatively squishy when they have the support Talia. Of course, they do have a lot of magic damage. So Mercury Tread's looking exceptionally spicy in this game, but there is a lot of ways for Yubi to really poke them out too, as long as they're able to play around and not get hit by some of these simple and telegraphed CCs like we're talking about with the don't get hit by Sejuani ultimates from maximum range, don't get hit by max range flash tibbers, and they do have ways to sort of poke them out and put Olympus Amber on the back foot.
Yeah, I can see something like that definitely going in that favor. So Jelani, I don't think we've seen picked up too much in this particular season. Definitely in previous seasons, it's been something kind of picked up a lot, especially on INT side. So I'm kind of excited to see what all that's going to entail for them, if it's going to be something they can do real well, especially maybe causing some chaos with Crazy J with Alistair. Already going in on the level 2, I don't think it's going to cause too much death, just going to be putting Anavi a little bit low on health, kept forcing the pot. Putting them in a good spot with a lot of aggression for this early part, so I'm liking that. But again, I would like to see Crazy J maybe play that roaming Alistair and kind of combo that with the Sejuani, and I think that might be something that they can find a way in a real early lead for themselves.
Yeah, and so far it's still quiet. Just a little bit of trading of some CS, but this wave is getting pushed in, which to the Alistair's credit, it's good that they didn't fall prey to taking a ton of damage at level 2. On the contrary, they were able to get some good poke out, and we see Torque Life, I think, might have shown, and here's Civilock.
Stepping forward is going to go and get the charge off. I don't think they have enough damage to really do too much. This root is going to come through. Cleanse is forced off Civil Lock, so that is a little bit of time well spent for Torque Life. That is going to give Utility Monster some room to be able to maybe decide if he wants to, maybe punish with a double scuttle if Sejuani stays on that top side or something like that. But overall, I think that's going to be good for them if they want to do something, especially in the mid game while that cooldown's happening.
The good part of this is that they do force out the cleanse and not the flash. That's all well and good. But the other side of it is that, as we see a little bit of a trade on the top side, the Red the Chair has the teleport. So they force out that combat summoner. Yes, it'll be up in relatively short order. The cleanse cooldown's not super long. But they do get the tempo of having Red able to push this wave all the way out, get the quick teleport back to lane, and not miss out on any CS. So I think that overall, that's a pretty good play for the investment. Although he is going to get invaded for the privilege. The utility monster
Right,
finds him on the
Flash
top
is
side.
forced. Torque is fighting up on the side. However, Ultravox is going to be trading Yoshi here, taking really low damages, traded back and forth. This could be anybody's death. They are going to walk away, it seems like. And Red the Chair isn't too far behind. Utility Monster is plenty healthy, being followed by Civlock. The stun is going to come out. Annie is going to be stuck and between a rock and a hard place between a 1v3. Poison comes out, and First Blood is going to be traded on to Civlock.
Ooh, it's unlucky for your guy there. Just trying to follow up, be a good mid laner, and follow up on your team's play, cover for them, and just gets sort of caught in no man's land for his trouble. Didn't have the vision down behind him to know exactly where Cassiopeia was, whether she was going up the river to join the play or around. As we see them trading on the bot side, I don't think it's going to get too crazy. But yeah, just unfortunate for Red the Chair to give that up. Already has to burn the teleport, like I said, which is fine. Does get them back. They don't lose terribly too much. But you know, not the way that you want to see that play going when you were able to get the commitment, burn the cleanse early, and then when you get the roam, it doesn't pan out for you. But at least I will say no one really, they didn't die on the initial play, which I felt was good up until the little bit of the oopsie. It was pretty interesting that both Sejuani was able to get under the tower as well as the
And
set.
going to just be stunned on Civil, I don't think too much comments, but Utility Monster is over here waiting in the wings. Root is going to be pushed. Toke to life is going to chase after. We also have Crazy J following behind. One auto away from getting the root. I don't think they really want to commit anything more. So yeah, a little bit of rotation, but not able quite to find any kills here. This is really good in terms of Civillock, even though he's forced to go back. CS is just doing fine, and more importantly, he did start with the Dark Seal, so that play earlier did pick him up already some early stacks. So I think he's feeling pretty good. He's gonna have his summoner spells back here not too long, and then I think Annie's gonna have to be pretty trouble because once you start comboing those Cassio engage, especially with the utility monster, they're gonna be able to find a lot of lockdown for against Red the Chair if they don't too careful here.
Underrated tech, just because I'm a nerd like that, is the Cassiopeia passive. There will come a point in the near future where Red the Chair is forced to buy some boots and then eventually tier 2 boots, and that is a gold differential that Cassiopeia does not need to invest into. So just like to point that out as we get early game, because I always pointed out the value whenever I'm in game. It's very annoying. You can ask Clayton. I always bring up really annoying little small things like that, and he's like, "Would you just shut up and ward for me, please?" So shouts out to Clayton if he's listening. But so looking back at the game, of course, the tier is stacking. The Cassiopeia is just happy to stay in lane, push back and forth, trade minions, and like you said, does have the early stacks on the Dark Seal too. So wait for this next fight, the next opportunity to get some more stacks on that. Get both your stacking items going. One thing I will point out, just to flame the poppy, not placed a ward yet. I think that's kind of cringe.
It's just the confidence, if your jungle and mid laner is dying to them, I mean you don't really do know. That's the word he's using. The light that flickers out. When you look at the bottom lane here, we have seen a lot of trading going on, and I think I'm going to attribute to what you were saying, where Crazy is having a hard time, finding those engages. It is going to be already picking up here, knocked back. Utility Monsters here is to clean out. One going down on the side of Aqua Domain, and Crazy J will follow. Two members of 08 dropped pretty quickly, and looks like they're going to go ahead and rotate to Dragon.
Yep, they make that look easy. They have a lot of vision control in this river side of the river here. Top side of the river, a different story, much darker side. But here they have the vision control around the dragon pit. They're able to bring their jungler down, get the gank off, get the kill, and now they're able to get this posture on the dragon, clear the first one out. First dragon of the game is going to be Cloud, so we're going to see that swap over to Mountain, so another soul removed from the equation. It looks like Olympus Amber is going to take the opportunity, knowing where the jungler is and the likelihood that they're going to at least reset or go back to getting camps, as we see actually them invading. But they are going to take that opportunity to go and get this Herald here. It'll be interesting to see what they do with the Herald, where they choose to infuse the gold, how quickly they make a play around trying to use this Herald, if at all. If it's just something, that they happen upon, or if they have they build a play, build a wave to try and crash and get a lot of plates with in one go with the Herald. We look at the gold as it comes up here. Thank you, Observer. We can see here, looking at the jungle, there is about 1,000 gold difference between just the junglers. That's about, just doing a little back of the envelope math here, that's about half of the gold lead between the two teams. So just getting those extra camps, doing extra farming at the expense of, having those ganks. And still, on the ganks that he's made, they've been effective. So Toke Life is just going to have to try and build up that gold deficit, maybe getting some gold from these plates, these plays in the lanes. So we see Crazy J get in.
Immediately putting pressure on is going to force the flash over onto Zen Zen. Zen Zen is going to get picked up. The members are going to be running away. Utility Monster is here picking up an easy ultimate. However, Aqua Domain is going to flash, but it is going to delay Crazy J. A lot of damage. Utility Monster is knocked into tower. Is able to quite tank it up, though. Aqua Domain kind of just scattering, trying to run behind the tower. And all said is done, it's an even 1-for-1. Civlock, though, if he has anything to say about it, is going to slither his way and find that Aqua Domain is too far away. Resetting.
Yeah, it looks like on the top side we got some action.
That's right, and immediately Glacial Prison comes out. Ultra Rocks does force the flash, and is gonna actually just kind of walk out. Nice. And immediately we got Zen Zen kind of finding red chair here. Toki Life on the backside. Ultra Vox is gonna be engaging on the top. Yushu Yoshi is gonna come down, find a slow. Ultra Vox W's away, and looks like no one wants to commit too hard to this. So we're just gonna be kind of doing some vision battle here.
What was largely a pretty sleepy game, very, very aggressive. All of a sudden, we saw a dive on the bot side. At the very last moment, Red the Chair was able to ping out. It's like, hey, this guy is gone. And at that moment, Aqua Domain got the hell out of dodge, ran away from the turret, like right as the Casio was about to come around the corner. And then on the opposite side of the map, they know where Utility Monster is committing to the gank, or the counter gank on the bot side is. We see them clear out vision to get their Sejuani here. They're going to pop the Herald on the bot side of the map with this wave here. Of course, static shift go boom. And there's no more minions. Isn't that such a fun item? Everyone loves it. It's fun for the whole family. They're going to get the 2 plates here from the crash. Oh no. I only get 1 plate, but that's okay.
Yeah, really just trying to do what they can, trying to get a little bit of gold in their pockets in the 4-1 score, trying to diminish some of that gold value. We touched on it a little bit, that the junglers really picking up a lot of the gold difference here by Utility Monster, but also Ultravox has been able to really handle his waves, got himself a pretty nice, almost 30 CS lead for himself, soaking up pressure from the ganks twice now, I believe, and just kind of doing his thing. Red the Chair is taking low from that trade, but just gonna be forced to go back, and Civlock's probably gonna pick up his own plate for the trouble.
Yeah, plays like that make Cassia look so fair with how quickly that she can spam out her targeted ability and just hit you over and over again and proc or conquer. Just super cool champion. As someone's pointing out in the chat, Mid is pointing out in the chat, yeah, this champion also does get mad tanky when it completes the Roa and the Seraph's Embrace. It gets kind of nuts. So, yeah, she's just going to get bigger again, as I was pointing out earlier, as we get the completed Rod of Ages coming through.
He's gonna root under the tower, taking a little bit of damage. I don't think he has too much to worry about. Forced back in, the Showstopper comes through, and Ultravox is gonna walk out. And Yushiyoshi's gonna either force the back or make a desperate play. And he chooses to back.
Yeah, the Maokai, the utility monster, is just continuing to show up to lanes, be that annoying tree that every laner hates to see waddling towards them. Whether he's going to be throwing his roots at you or just his annoying ass little bombs that he throws into the bushes. And they're able to scare away Yushu Yoshi, not really able to take the stand-up fight against the Poppy and the Maokai. Zen Zen over here just trying to throw out some poke. One thing I didn't get a chance to talk, if we could get the observer to click on Zen Zen.
Maybe, if Torque Wave is going to dash forward, be going to cut off by Zen Zen, and is going to find himself outnumbered and poisoned to death. And it's going to be a quick pickup, and we have, Yoshiyoshi teleporting here a little bit late to the fight. The Titty Monster here in the waist could has a good position for his ultimate, as members are running back to tower. And if nothing else, I think that does secure Yubi a good dragon for
Okay,
himself.
cool. He's got 3 Dark Harvest stacks. That's what I wanted to see. Thank you. And I was calling for that because I was like, surely there's no way the Sejuani just goes the wrong way to die. But anyway, so just the one thing that stuck out to me, I'd be interested to ask Zenzen after the game if we get an opportunity. I thought the electrocute is what you're supposed to do with the support Talia. I think this is like some Korean solo queue tech, something along those lines with the electrocute procs, much stronger in lane. Um, I'm just sort of curious about that, but still doing great. Got the Frostfang online. I'm gonna guess that they're going the Heimerdinger tech, which is the early Rylai's. I'd be interested to see what happens with this Talia as the game goes on. And as I said earlier, the Kaisa does have the dreaded static shiv, so waves are a thing of the past now. Watch. Goodbye. Oh well, that wasn't as satisfying.
Yeah,
Soon,
not quite
soon
as
it will
cool as
be just
Roblox,
goodbye.
but yeah. Go ahead and pick up some more gold, trade back and forth. I think we're at a small resting point here. Rift Herald is up, so not the only thing we really battle over soon. Other than that, if they want to slow down and find themselves a way into this game and maybe really take their time before they commit to something that finds themselves in a bad position, get some wards up, be mindful of their pathing, and they might find a way back into this game in that time.
On one hand, it really has not been a problem. But on the other hand, I just have to say, as a support main, if I see my top laner have 2 vision score at this point in the game, I'm spam pinging their trinket. I'm just gonna be like, yo, can you at least ward like the Herald? Can you ward where the crab's spawning? Like, can anything? Like, I get you don't want to ward your lane. That's fine.
Maokai's coming
Maokai's
back.
mid.
Annie, what's going on over there?
Oh, you're locked on set, bro.
Yeah. Chill it,
There we go.
and we see Civlock pick up a kill onto Annie. Let's
Oh,
go, Civlock. I'm sure it was a match to play between Utility Monster. Exhaust coming through on Aqua Domain as Zenzen is trading back and forth. Alistair pops the Unbreakable, and that's about it. They kind of walk away from each other.
in Shargan's defense, after yesterday's game, there got to be a certain point where we didn't want to see what was going on in mid either with Red Chair. It was a little too disgusting, and then we try and keep this a family-friendly show available for all audiences. So it was a little gruesome. Does finally get the Liandry's online. Does have the stopwatch. So probably going to be trying to hasten their ability to get towards that Zanya's. I'm not necessarily sure if that's gonna be the save that they need it to be. But the other thing to point out, we are now at that point in the game where the boot diff, as I like to point out, is here. So Annie has completed her tier 2 boots. So that's also extra gold you should consider when you look at the gold difference, which is already considerable for this Cassiopeia. It has three kills, has 6 stacks on the Dark Seal headed towards the Magi's. If all things stay going in their direction for YUBI, as they could really use this win.
That's right. I do imagine the members of UB do need some confidence putting back in their on their shelf. That self-esteem would feel really good right about now. And I'm really kind of liking what we've seen. They're kind of going back. Utility Monster and Civlock specifically, remaining members have a lot of synergy, and we're seeing them able to come from a lot of different angles and really secure these kills in Red Chair. We kind of predicted it early on when we kind of offset that flash and being able to get the double root kind of thing, and it's really kind of paying dividends for them. And I'm kind of liking it this combo, and would like to see this kind of synergy remain through the remainder of their games in the season.
Yeah, I'm looking at Olympus Amber and what they got cooking right now. I think that typically, my thoughts on the matter for the third dragon is that typically, unless you really have to take the fight at that point, you should typically wait to take the soul point fight or the fight over the soul rather than the soul point fight, especially if you can be in a better item spot by the time that fight comes around. I think that's calculus that not a lot of people do. I mean, in these kind of games, but in overall like solo queue type stuff. But I think that as we see this fight here,
He was sitting in a ward. It is pretty tanky though, so he's going to get rooted up and kind of trade a little bit of health for each other and kind of walk out scot-free because poppies are pretty cool and tanky and knock things away if they need be.
yeah. So as we see, the eye is getting pop mid. Okay, so what are they going to commit to on mid here?
Imperial's going to come through. We have members of UB going to go ahead and try and knock this tower down. We are going to find 3v4 or the other 4 members here. I don't know. But charge is going to go off. A little bit of tower health remaining is going to go down. Trade it off on the backside. Utility monster gets knocked up, and the teleport comes through for Yoshi is going to run at them. Not quite sure if there's a good angle for here. It's going to get the pull off. Zen tries to separate it. We do find ourselves in a 3v2 now. Showstopper comes through. That's a good amount of damage, and then all members of OA here and being matched by the Ultravox TP. Not able to find the Heartseeker and kind of traded back into their jungle. Still got plenty of vision to kind of know what's going on. Crazy J over on the side, and members of the UB are moving on to the Dragon. Toki Life kind of waiting on the side, maybe looking to do maybe a suicide steal if he wants. Yoshi takes a lot more damage as they're forced back to the choke point, which Civilog would love to get free, and of course, with that, UB takes the 3rd Dragon.
And to the point I was making before this play got started off is I don't think that there's much hope in the scale factor for them. So typically, while I would say you don't need to take those fights, I do think that I like that they committed to it, and they were actually relatively competitive in that fight overall. Even though the fight started with Crazy J being split off on the side, they were still able to do pretty well. They weren't getting absolutely melted yet by the damage coming out of the Cassiopeia and the Kaisa, but now that Kaisa has the Nashers complete, and the Cassio is getting much closer to completing the Archangels into the Seraphs, there's not a lot of opportunities left, and we do see the Talia does complete, as I was saying earlier, the Liandries. You can put down a lot of slows very easily with sniping people with your Qs, as well as by throwing out the red carpet with the E. So really good tech to have on your support Talia. Gonna be very helpful to allow the Kaisa to kite around and do what she needs to do in the fights as well for the Cassio. That needs to slither about and do what they need to do and get in range to spit their fangs. We see Utility Monster.
Yeah, and being chased on the right of the chair here, being rooted up and poisoned to death. Kind of, we've seen this play before. Same song and dance. Just kind of giving Civilog that feel good. Some extra stacks. I think he's at 8 now, close to max for his 10, which means he should be looking to buy himself a new book for his studies soon.
Yep, and it looks like Olympus Amber, it looks a little lost right now. They're not sure what they should be doing on the map, while YUBI is doing slow and steady, methodical. They're getting these waves pushing in every lane. It looks like they're probably just going to play honest and play towards a little bit of a Baron bait until this dragon comes up, since they have the push on the side waves. They're going to get this mid control.
Ultravox does have a flank. The teleport is coming through kind of early here. Zen is being chased down by members pretty low. Ultravox is kind of trying to shield that. Yoshi's going to pull him. Aquamade taken very low and killed by Ultravox. A lot of poison coming through here in the choke point. That's what Civilog loves. Showmaker comes through, but not quite enough damage as he's forced into the members, and Toki Life's the only one that gets away. And I think that means Yubi is just going to go ahead and turn on to Baron and probably be looking to finish this game out here not too much longer.
Yep, and that's what you hate to see if you're an Olympus Amber fan. It started to look okay at the start with UB versus Basic Income. Sort of getting a little caught, not necessarily unawares, but let's say a disadvantageous spot. But they're able to stretch out the length of the fight. They're able to get the damage dealers in. And you can just see how much damage was just dumped out in a short amount of time by the Kaisa Q, by just the auto attack with the Lichbane proc, and then the Shiv proc, and then of course the all the Twin Fangs and the Gaze from the Cassiopeia. Just a tremendous amount of damage being dealt once they were able to get access to the fight. So, there's not a lot of opportunities left for Olympus Amber here. They're going to need a little bit of help from the Universal Basic Income fellows to int it back to them, and hopefully they can catch the throw. But it's not looking good for them. There's still some more opportunities, but they're going to have to really be on their toes.
That is true, and we have seen bigger throws in past FFS
We've seen
history.
some monumental ints.
So it's not out of the question. I would like to think that these guys are a little more seasoned and wouldn't do that, but again, everything's possible here on FLO. So we love it. It would be kind of exciting, but I don't think it's in the script today. With that, they're just kind of go ahead and be taking this Baron pressure, forcing it onto both sides of the map. Set is going to go take a low. Malachi is forced over the side and finds himself in a fight longer than he thought. Ultravox going and picking up the kill. Utility Monster System scrambling through the jungle here. Picks up the root onto Aqua Domain, and then we have Crazy J, of course, going in under tower. Not afraid of that. Aqua Domain is doing his best to kite back, but just barely staying alive as one member falls once again, picked up by the Heist again, and traveled over and is going to pick up the kill back on that side. The Civil Lock is just kind of dancing around here on this end fight, but I think they're okay. Ultravox taking the Blast Plane over, kind of hanging out in their base, gets forces the flash, gets the auto, and picks up Annie. Red the chair goes down. Toki Lez kind of dancing between the towers here for his life. Not quite sure where to go. Taking low and gets the root off, but here comes Civlock here to pick up the rest of that. And with Anabi on the top side, it's just a matter of chair as only Yushu Yoshi is left here to defend the base.
Well, they were able to absolutely blast them there. I think that they don't feel like they have the health bars to really end the game there, so they're just going to be content to take their inhibitors and go, slap them around a little bit and said, we'll be back for this Nexus later. They're going to get this soul point here. The Infernal Soul is what ended up being rolled for this game. So, again, not great news for the side of Olympus Amber. But, you know, that's just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. When you got the three mages, and then you have everyone's favorite off mage, Maokai, their second favorite, I guess. Everyone's favorite off mage is, of course, the Ornn, which does every role better than every other champion in that role. But
That's just a
we
fact. You're right, yeah.
yeah, so the Annie now has the Zonias, so they do have that little bit of survivability. If they do get the return fire coming in on them, they can stun it out or wait it out rather. As we see, okay, I was waiting to see if that was gonna have some funny business with the minion hitboxes where it's gonna thread the needle.
Yeah, I don't think Utility Monster has to be too careful. He is able to just kind of walk around freely. Got quite a bit of stats difference here as they are making their way around the tower. 5 members waiting, encroaching as these 4 members are just kind of put in the back. They are going to cut it off, find themselves on a 3-on-1 side. Utility Monster just walking forward. They are going to focus the tower, try and force them into an uncomfortable position. Utility Monster's going quite deep. We'll go ahead and find Red the Chair, taking down Aqua Domain. The carriers are gone. It's just a matter of time before this fight is cleaned up. 2 more members fall, and it's only Toki life as all 5 members on YUBI remain healthy and find themselves an ace. With that, I'm sure they're going to just go ahead and walk their happy selves into another victory for the season.
Yep, and that's going to be it for this game, it looks like. Very methodical play out of Universal Basic Income today to secure themselves the matchup to 2-2. It's going to put them at 50% on the season so far, but a positive step in the right direction for them.
Yeah, and I think you said it best there. Methodical indeed. They kind of got the leads they wanted. They didn't take anything too risky. Zen was able to spread them apart in a couple of those good fights to really just make sure that things were kind of solidified in their favor. And just some stranger picks, but I think it might be a step in the good direction, good practice for what they have in store for the future.
Well, folks, we're going to take a short break, but we'll be back very soon as I will be sitting down with Utility Monster, the jungler from the victorious Universal Basic Income. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back very shortly with our first interview of the night. right, folks, Chris Edgeworth here, joined for our first interview of the day by Utility Monster, our victorious jungler from Universal Basic Income. How are you feeling?
Feeling good. Good to get a win. We didn't get one yesterday, but glad to get at least one in the week.
Let's start there. Yeah, so this does even you folks up on the week 1-1. Yesterday, you were at the mercy of the Maokai ganks. Today, it was your turn on the Maokai train. What were your folks' thoughts coming into this draft today, and sort of what you ended up against and what they picked?
Yeah, we've been playing B1 Maokai for 5 seasons now, so we didn't want to mix it up. It's a good champion. Coming in, we were lucky that our opponents had to unfortunately play a sub jungler because their straight jungler is more comfortable in the role and also limits draft more. He has some very strong champions that requires to ban, so we had some luxury bans that we got to go for, and then we just sort of picked solid team fighting champions and played pretty standard from there. So I think we had a solid draft. It was definitely a reset game after sort of a unfortunate loss yesterday.
Let's talk about this game itself, because this was a big win, of course, but it was also a very methodical, very organized win. I felt like you folks didn't really take your foot off their neck at any point in the game. I would also, one thing that I did not get a chance to bring up when we talked draft was also Zenzen being in the support position. Zenzen brought in the support Talia. What was the thoughts for the team on that?
Well, Zenzen's an ex-mid lane player, so he's very comfortable in a lot of mages. So we have sort of a lot of unorthodox champions that we can potentially bring in. Talia into Alistar, sort of the zone of grounding. If you dash over it, prevents a lot of Alistar engages. So it was sort of a nice attempt at sort of controlling the lane and denying Alistar going in too much. There was still an unfortunate trade level 2 that sort of Alistar hit 2 faster than our bot expected and was able to get a small edge there, but didn't turn out to matter too much in the long stage of the game.
Let's talk about the back to the game itself then, because it was very methodical, it was very crisp, playing out from you. You were able to not only maintain a CS lead, but I felt like you were also very active in your lanes. Talk to me a little bit, if you would, about what it takes for you as the jungler for YUBI to have to balance your lanes whining for your attention when you're just trying to farm your camps.
Well, usually I just tell them to kick rocks and keep farming. But no, today it was pretty easy because I had a lot of pressure, especially top and mid, so I was able to perma invade the top half, which meant I had access to more camps, so I was able to get a lot of farm by just farming enemy top half, and then covering both solos and letting bot lane just farm it out. So that was pretty easy. We definitely wanted to close out the game cleanly, so it was a lot of effort on getting the dragon ahead of time and getting all the vision set up, and I think it showed. But we wanted to sort of prove to ourselves more than anything that yes, we've had some rough early games in our losses, but like we're still good at the game. We can still play properly from ahead. So now we just have to show up our early game, and I think as we just play more throughout the season, we'll iron that out and be a force in playoffs.
I see him in the green room, so I'm assuming he's going to hear this. Did anyone check to make sure that Ultravox has the trinket key bound? Is this person allergic to placing hordes on the top side of their map? Is crazy.
Oh, I did not check the vision score, but that'll be a VOD review topic for sure, because yeah, if anyone has poor vision score, they're getting flamed. He's an AD carry player though, so he lacks brain cells. It's understandable. It's a sort of terminal condition.
I'm a support main. I understand that. That's why I was looking at that. I was like, I don't care if we're winning. If I see that on one of my laners, I'm gonna spam ping their trinket. Like, why are you not using this? Can you at least ward it for things that matter to me? I don't care if you want to die to ganks out of your river brush. Like, that's fine. That's your journey.
Yeah, but we're slowly, now that he's out in top lane, we're rehabilitating him. He's up to 3 brain cells now, but there's still a long way to go, unfortunately.
Let's look forward then to some of your other matchups. Is there any other teams that you haven't had a chance to tussle with that you're looking forward to matching up against?
I'm really excited for both of our rematches for our losses, actually. I think OVS and AW are really strong. In terms of teams we have not played yet, I'm really excited to face BBZ. I know Red was on our team for a few seasons, and even before that, it was sort of one of our biggest rivalries, so that's always going to be a hype matchup, and yeah, we're not going to let Red beat us easily, so that one's going to have some extra personal stakes going into it, but yeah, hopefully we can beat Red. Otherwise, nah, I think our rematches are going to be really key. I don't want I don't think I've ever had a losing record against a team in regular season, and I don't want to start now.
Hell yeah. All right. Well, Utility Monster, thank you for joining us for this interview. Before we step away, I want to give you an opportunity for any final thoughts, any shout outs, any banter.
Don't vote Zenzen MVP. He had 100% team deaths. If you vote him MVP, you're wrong.
Right on. All right. Well, that's some anti-support bias, bro. Come on. Come on. I'm going to bat for you, Zenzen, right now. Dude, I hate that shit when I'm like winning the game for my team and they're like, shut up, you're 0-5, like, and you're playing Recon and you're like, but I like disabled their whole team and you guys killed them all. And they're like, mad because bad, you have deaths. Like, yeah. So anyway, Zenzen, you don't deserve MVP though. That's what we're saying. All right. Well, folks, that's gonna be it for this interview. We'll be back very shortly with our second game of the day. Don't go too far. We'll be back with INT versus BBZ.